I'm just trying to please Nathan by capturing this thing, and like, there's no acting there. There's no, I didn't go to school for that, and it's, but that's kind of the situation you get in, and it's just not, like I said, it was nothing that you typically do to get ready to do a role. There was nothing typical. It was all just about being, the most important thing we actors can do is just be present. That's all you could do.
So, Angelique, you were nominated for an RTS for Reservoir Dogs. We have some casting directors in the house. And Jennifer, won, not nominated. And Jennifer, you won for an RTS award for Euphoria. And of course, you've worked with Nathan on The Rehearsal and Benny on Good Times and Uncut Gems. So I'm just wondering, how did you both come to be involved in this project?
You were there first. You started it.
As you said, I'm fortunate enough to have been able to collaborate with these guys before. And so, God, I'm trying to think how it happened. It was just a natural conversation. I was speaking to, I think it was Benny first. And he just was like, we have this incredible project and we're going to do something really amazing. And I was on board. And then we knew a lot of it was going to be done. A lot of the talent was going to come from New Mexico. So we really wanted to find like a partner, someone that could get the way that they worked and be able to be embedded in the community. And I think Angelique was the perfect person.
Yay.
So did you know Angelique before you reached out to her?
Just, through the casting world.
Yeah,
I'm a fan. I'm a big fan.
And me too. So we hadn't worked together, but of course we knew. And she was, you're like the goddess of, like you just said, of, representation and really making it possible for all actors to have opportunities. So.
And I feel like it was a perfect collaboration because, I'm not kidding, I was a fan. Because, I just feel like the thing about what you do and what Benny and Nathan do and what I was so excited to jump into with you guys is just creating a world that doesn't feel, where the actors don't feel like actors and they don't feel like they're actors acting. So I think that Benny and Nathan create an environment that is, nurturing for the actors to do that. But also I think, your approach to finding the people to populate the film is something that I wanted to kind of emulate and live up to and make sure that, there was no weak link.
Yeah, and I think just to be clear, because I know there's a lot of actors here, it is, we're not looking, this idea of approaching the casting in this way of looking in places that are not traditional, it's not because we don't want actors. Right. It's the combination of, I think with, I had made a documentary, and that was kind of my entree into casting first, and that it's the mixture, and I think with Josh and Benny, of nonfiction and fiction. So it's like, how do you create reality in a way by scripting and non-scripting, actor and non-actor, and that you're really in this word that feels like a documentary and feels like a narrative.
And to your point, I know that Angelique knows every actor in New Mexico. I know that. And I think it was amazing because there are people, like the camera lady, Melissa Chambers, who I was like, that's got to be a real person. And of course it's not. Yeah. And it is a really tricky balance because everybody in here seems so, off the place, off the time. And I understand that Benny and Nathan improvised with every co-star to make sure that they got that right balance, because I'm sure it is tricky to have real people acting and not look awkward.
I think that the key word here is what you said is balance, finding the balance of, like Jen said, it's not that we're looking for non-actors. We cast the supporting roles out of New Mexico, over 150 people, I think. And, you know, I think what I kind of focused on, you know, when they were saying, like, we want, you know, like, if we're going to see a police officer on TV, we want a police officer. And in my head, because I know the talent pool so well, I'm like, I can think of actors that are also or have been police officers. And so I'm always trying to kind of, you know, bring that to the table, where it's like, this is a person with real life experience, but is also has the talent or the instinct to bring to the filmmakers what they want.
And also, like, for example, these wonderful people sitting here.
We're gonna let you talk.
And I always say that too, like, it takes like an actor, like Barkhad, thank God, with the young girls, like, it was his grounding, an understanding of a scene that could then let those girls do their authentic thing and, like, keep it contained in a way that really serves the scene. And I always feel like it needs that. It's like, you know, and Corbin, for example, it was like, he just across the board, when we saw his tape, everyone was like, and that's that thing that an actor can do, where you see something on the script, but then when someone brings it to life in their own way, like, obviously so I think that people would think that that scene would be maybe some guy that's a little schlubby and you feel sorry. Corbin's such a babe, and he was so confident and, like, confident about it that you just saw it in such a different way that I think, you know, so anyway, it's just, and then Nizhonniya, like, you are an example of someone that hadn't acted before, and that you really, I think this thing that people think it is really hard, like, she was able to be present, she was able to, I think that thing that you said, that they did meet with every person and improv with every person, because there's something, whether you're going to improv on set or not, to see how someone can be present and show up and what their instincts are, then helps inform what they'll be like when they're doing the lines or when they're in the scene. And I think, you know, we really put you through it. You did it many times. I can't even remember how many, but it was a lot.
Well, and I do have to say, we were just talking about that Nizhonniya is kind of my favorite piece of casting. I don't know, not that we have favorites, but for me, because I have actually been seeing her for years. I don't know if you remember, the first time I remember seeing you was, I think, for Hostiles, the Christian Bale movie. But I've been seeing you for a while, and I only knew her as an actor, not through the art community.
Yeah, because we found her through Instagram, I think.
Yes,
yeah.
The art community, and I kind of
that's what I've always been curious about, is how you found me.
How we found you, because that's what we're detectives. No, I mean, I couldn't, we have to have my whole office here to break it down, but I remember it was Instagram, but I'm not sure what the channels were that brought us to your Instagram, because it's not like you didn't have like a huge following, did you?
No, I think there was just like maybe 400 people that followed or something like that.
Yeah, so someone in the interns, we have amazing interns somehow, but then it came to me, and it was towards the end, like, we had seen a lot of people and just were not happy it wasn't that wasn't happy, but it didn't feel like it was done.
Yeah.
But then I didn't know that you had known her before.
She's been, yes, in my office, and I had her on my actor list, and I knew we were looking in the art community. So it was kind of one of those serendipitous things, where it was like the timing was right, that, you had seen everybody that you wanted to see that wasn't getting it, and then Nizhonniya, you brought I think the quality that everybody was just like, that's that intangible thing that we were looking for. And yes, put her through the ringer. I feel like the first callback was with Nathan, and Emma was there too, right? And Benny.
Yeah.
Yeah, no pressure.
I'm just also curious about how often casting agents cast through Instagram. Is that a new thing?
think that's special too.
But I don't think we're not actually casting through Instagram, but I feel like that we're creating opportunities. I think in a world today, we were just talking about this, I get so many people that come to me that want an agent or like, can you help me find an agent? And I think specifically right now, you know, when the industry goes through different peaks and valleys, people aren't always representing. I feel like my company, we want to create, like you said, like you're creating opportunities. We want people to have the opportunity. We live in a world right now where we'll do open calls on Instagram. And it's like, it just gives, and sometimes the people have agents. It's just their agent wasn't able to get them an appointment or get them an audition. So, and sometimes when it comes through someone personally, you're seeing their material in a different way than when it's like pre-packaged some other way that maybe doesn't represent them as well. So I don't call it like, we're not casting through Instagram, but we're creating opportunities for more people to have access to auditions and opportunities for work.
That's wonderful. Corbin, I want to come to you, talking about auditioning. You're a TV legend, but there's something comforting about knowing that you auditioned, that you submitted a tape for this.
No, absolutely. I mean, and thank God for all you actors, you probably know, it was incredible material. I mean, the cherry tomatoes scene is as an audition piece, other than the fact I'm doing it with my wife. You know, yeah, it was, you know, it was just an incredible piece of material. And you probably don't know this, Jennifer, but I ran it. My oldest son is like a film, he knows everything in the world. And so Benny, and I knew more about Nathan. And then somehow he knew that you were casting. He said, you've got to do this. Screw Benny, screw Nathan, screw
Really?
A24, everything else. It's like, Jennifer's casting this, you got to do this. And
When you got the tape, when I got
the tape, because your name's on the casting director
okay,
thing.
got
So I
it,
said,
got
"Oh,
it.
tell me who's involved." That's
Yeah.
what he is. He's telling me who's involved. Or you got to do this. But no, but I did embrace it because, you know, we just get this material, and all you casting people should know, please send out decent stuff that doesn't have 8 people in the scene for openers. So I have to
Yeah,
edit.
yeah.
But it was this great scene that's just right there, and you either click on it or you don't. And I know my manager said, now there's going to be something in there you might be uncomfortable with. And I said, what? And he told me the thing. And I said, no, bring it. That's great, you know.
But that's what I'm saying. First of all, I couldn't believe it too. I was just like, it's so cool he taped for this. It just showed something about your personality. And he had so much fun with it.
Oh, it was the most fun. I mean, that was actually fun. I will tell you 90% of stuff that I self-tape for, because you guys must know it's just the most horrible thing in the world to like have to light and set up and direct and decide which one, and have your wife read with you.
Yeah.
And she's like, just learn the fucking lines. You know, she's like, she has no patience for me not knowing the lines whatsoever. I get 2 takes and we're done. But to get that kind of material, just the material is so important. If you really, I often say, and I read the script sometimes, and I see the material, and I say, why don't you just tell me to improvise a monologue about the character?
Yeah.
Let me talk in character about what the scene might be or who this guy is, because you're going to get nothing from which way is the gas station.
I do that too. Like a big thing we do interviews a lot. There's a lot of, I'm working with Yorgos Lanthimos right now, and it's like, you can tell a lot about an interview from someone, and Josh and Benny were the same way, and Nathan. When we did a Zoom.
When we finally did a Zoom, that was the best.
Yeah.
I was actually in Spain and with Nathan and Benny just talking for.
But the other thing I have to say, the thing why he's so great is too because it's off type. Like you would not think that you. If I
have a small penis?
If I would have had to.
That's I promise you the last we'll talk about it. Okay.
If I had to come up with it, it's like he wouldn't have been on my list to think. And that's what's so cool, that you did tape and not think that it was like beneath you to tape, because then a surprise can happen, you know.
Yeah. But
Barkhad, I want to ask you, because you obviously worked with Benny before in Good Time, and I've read that he said there's something magical about you because you are so real. So did he just offer this to you, or did you put yourself on tape as well?
Well, it's just Well, hello to everyone, first of all. But at first, with this role, Benny and Jennifer called me, and essentially, I was supposed to help to find an older Somali guy.
It's like 42nd
Well, because
Street.
it was written, I could probably answer this better than you can. 'Cause it was written as a grandmother. It was written as a grandmother. This is a beautiful example, too, of how these guys really pivot for casting. So it was written as a grandmother at first, and I was like, oh, God, we thought of Barkhad as like helping us find the kids or the thing, and I had reached out about that, and he was gracious enough to give us some ideas of how to find these people. And then as we were seeing people and looking at it, it's like, and then Benny's just like, I love Barkhad. Why are we not just doing it with Barkhad? And then it was written as just one girl at first, and then through the casting of the young girls, we did open calls in Minnesota in the community where Barkhad lives. This older girl came in who they love, and it was like, okay, Nathan's like, let me go back. I can rewrite this. She's going to be like her protector, and this is going to be. But so that's not so. So anyways, it wasn't originally for Barkhad, but then Benny was just like, I love him so much. Let's just change it.
Yeah, well, I love Benny so much as well.
But it's such a unique show. What did he tell you about the tone? What conversations did he have with you to connect you to the material?
Honestly, the material was incredible. When I read it, it was just something I did not expect, but it was just a different role for me. But I love kids, so, it's just playing around with them, just making that character, just playing that fatherly role. So it was a lot of fun, but it was every day different, every day we talk about something different, and we had multiple directors on every episode, every scene mostly. So there's a lot of help, so.
This is such a multi-layered, complex script. The moral and ethical and emotional issues which it delves into, it's almost like every sentence carries so many meanings. And it resonates differently with everybody. So what was it about the script that resonated with you?
Honestly, it was Benny, M. Stone. That resonated with me so much. But the script was just something different, It's like we only read the first episode, so how's it going? We was finding out as we go. So it was just like, okay, where is this going? Like what? I was totally clueless as well, as far as what's gonna happen next.
And that's kind of how it is, as an actor in this thing. You get the scene, but when I read the script, it was, first of all, that Nathan's doing it. So if you know Nathan For You, which I was a big fan of, right, which was a nice thing going into it, you sort of, scripts are made or broken by, no, that doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. This is not about making sense in this thing. It's just human stuff and these human people, and it's something I learned a long time ago, that if you cast it with the right people and the roadmap is, you're going from LA to New York, okay, we may shoot off and go down to Mississippi on the way, and then we may go up to Minnesota on the way, but you're not going the way you thought you were going to go, but the map looks good. Yeah. The country looks good. Like there's a lot of places to visit, and you just have to, especially with those guys, you just have to open yourself up. And I was telling Jennifer, there was a scene that you haven't seen here later where I'm sitting with Emma and I give her this cash. It was a bank scene. And I sit in the car and I said, where's the camera? And I have no idea. And you realize Emma and I are sitting there doing a scene in the middle of a parking lot and no idea where the camera is. So you're just kind of going on real stuff all the time. You're not playing to the camera. You're not playing a scene. There's not a lot of that old stuff, the actors, what do you want out of the scene? What are the obstacles? There's just let it go.
Yeah. And Nizhonniya, to the point that the girls mentioned earlier, this was your first time on set. So how did you calm your nerves? I mean, you're coming on set with, Oscar winner Emma Stone. How did you, you must have been nervous.
Yeah, I was so nervous. It was so overwhelming. Never acted. It was my first time ever acting, and when lunch break happened, I just went in my little trailer and I cried and I called my mom.
It's so interesting because you had to play something so opposite of that. Like your character's so. Your character's intimidating to everyone else.
Yeah.
Which is such a interesting alchemy of you're terrified, but you came off as
I was, oh my God, I was so sensitive that day.
Oh, I'm sure.
Every single thing that somebody would say to me, I just wanted to cry. But I'm so happy that it actually came across as being totally opposite.
It did.
And I have to imagine that the audition process kind of had to help build your confidence. I mean, to be able to go into a room. I think even seasoned actors going into an audition room with Emma, Nathan, and Benny, might just pee their pants. I don't know. But I mean, you know what I mean? So just knowing that you ran that gauntlet and came out on top must have at least built some confidence. I think everybody gets the imposter syndrome, but just the fact that you're there, I don't know. And it didn't read as nervous or anything. It was, like Jen said, it did I felt like when I was watching it, I was I felt like Emma's kind of intimidation by you and wanting to please you, and it just you did a fantastic job embracing it.
Thank you.
And I have to say that was the thing that kind of sealed the deal for you, that Emma really said wow, when I'm across from her I feel this way, it makes me feel a certain way. So you were giving off an energy that was opposite of what you
I do remember when we were auditioning, she started crying while I was talking to her because I was supposed to intimidate her. Nathan kept just kind of pushing me on her, so I just did what he said, and she eventually just was crying, and I was oh my God, are those real tears or actor tears?
I think too that Nizhonniya is that perfect synergy of what I was talking about earlier. Jen found her because you found her in the art world, and I was kind of avoiding the actor world at the time, and I knew you as a talent, and so we were kind of avoiding it, but she had the talent, and it was that synergy of you're a real artist and you have been working on your craft, and so you were able to bring, it was lightning striking where you were a part of the art community, but you were able to bring the talent to the table as well. I think it was just perfect.
And a musician and a poet, and I love the way your character arc, makes this theme of art and exploitation so prescient in the show. This power dynamic that you and Emma play with all the time, from signing the release and just to your house tour with her, which comes later, where there's a really interesting dynamic between patron and artist, and that's explored throughout the show. Can you talk about the fun I'm sure you must have had playing with that with Emma?
Yeah, it's something that as an artist, you do have to kind of play with that, and it's part of how you make money and how you make how you pay your bills, and it's I don't know, it's kind of just this I don't know, it's really sad and heartbreaking, having to because being an artist, I feel, is all about authenticity, and portraying the authenticity, and like, but you have to just leave that at the door as soon as it comes to like somebody that wants to give you money for something or wants you to do something for them. And so to see that dynamic with Emma Stone's character and my character, it was really interesting because I didn't really like Kara at first. And then I realized that the reason why I didn't really like her was because I was seeing these elements of that within myself. And I was like, oh, I know why I don't really like Kara, because I'm having to confront that side of myself. So yeah, it was really interesting, like doing that with her character.
I think it's interesting because that's what the show does for the audience too. I know we have to wrap up, but I have a couple more questions. Just for Corbin and Barkhad, I think a lot of the time you make really less obvious choices. Like obviously for Barkhad at the end, you know, your reaction to their gift is just, it's brilliant, but it's a less obvious choice, and it's part of the humor. And also, you know, with Corbin, sort of the interaction with the dog and capturing the bug, you know, it's just like, it's so like Jen said, the antithesis of a villainous slumlord. So I wonder if you can just talk to us, both of you, a little bit about those choices.
Honestly, that choice at the end, I thought it was rude. Like, who says that to someone giving them a house? But it wasn't my choice.
But you brilliantly performed it. All right.
With mine, with the bug, it really came down to something that you would never imagine. We had a cockroach wrangler, and there were only like 5 cockroaches, and I killed 4 of them trying to capture it in the glass. And Nathan was starting to freak out, and it was like, just put the glass over. Just put the glass. I said, I'm trying, man, but it's running from me. So I'm just trying to please Nathan by capturing this thing, and like, there's no acting there. There's no, you know, I didn't go to school for that, you know. And it's, but that's kind of the situation you get in, and you know, it's just not, like I said, it was nothing that you typically do to get ready to do a role. You know, there was nothing typical. It was all just about being, well, the most important thing we actors can do is just be present. You know, that's all you could do.
Last question, I promise, and then we're going to leave. So maybe rapid fire, very succinctly, as efficient as the show is. When you first watched this show, and this is for each of you, what was the moment or the storyline or the thing that was most thought-provoking for you?
Me first. I mean, honestly, the first thing that drew me into, and the reason why I got so drawn into wanting to do this role so bad, and why I like put so much like passion into like getting this role, was because of the character and Kara. I don't normally ever see like a native, like a very contemporary like native person in very many things. So when I saw like the description, I was like, oh, whoa, like I want this. Like I want to see more like native representation, and I want to do this role, and I want to do it right. So.
Yeah, I thought this guy that's trying to find a way to support his daughters, no one knows what happened to his wife, but I thought it was really good, you know, it's something I could relate to, you know what I mean? And I've seen a lot of people deal with that. So, you know, just bringing that to life and showing someone that really care about their daughters and going up and down and, you know, whatever he can to support them. I thought it was real beautiful, yeah.
And for me, it was, I'm into the house flipping thing a little bit. And there's this notion about, if you know Espanola, and one of my favorite Mexican restaurants in the world is in Espanola, so I knew Espanola really well, and that they're doing this house flipping show in Espanola with this glass cube, and Nathan, I thought like, we're in a world of magic here, because none of it makes sense. I mean, if you know Espanola, it's not where you'd flip a house, let alone stick an ice cube house in the middle of it. And so then I knew we were in strange world that was Nathan world that was, you know, already seductive to me.
For me, from a casting perspective, just all the different characters. I mean, that working with you, obviously working with Benny, Josh, Nathan, that element of realism, what a fun and incredible challenge. And also, these characters, no one's unflawed. So just this whole combination was just so exciting as a casting director.
I think I know for me, I do what I do because I'm obsessed with humanity and what it means to be human, and I want to work with people that are challenging us to look at why it is we do what we do, what it means to be human in the world today, looking at our shadows, looking at all the complexities of it. So when this came, I'm like, yes, because that's all I want to do is explore what that is.
This is such a great mirror to society. Thank you all for contributing and for talking to us today.
Thank you.